Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dr. Philip Fletcher here, and welcome to Rap, Hip Hop, and Freedom. Hope you are having another great week as we come to the end of Volume 2 of Rap, Hip Hop, and Freedom. And simply today, I just wanted to offer just some thoughts, summaries, not just about Volume 2, but also Volume 1. And if you have not watched any of these, I would greatly encourage you to go back here on YouTube. Remember to subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Where you can check out playlist Rap Hip Hop and Freedom Volume 1, as well as Rap Hip Hop and Freedom Volume 2. And what I really wanted to do was really to provide an introduction to individuals who have little to no familiarity with classical liberalism or libertarianism, and offering some thoughts, ideas, those principles, and also introduce individuals to those writers. And how I wanted to do that was by looking at a genre that's important to me, a musical genre that I grew up on, namely rap and hip hop. Now, I am not afraid to admit it, 48 years old. I grew up in the era when rap and hip hop was just like an infant, and to see what it has become now, which is a worldwide cultural phenomenon, which is pretty much accepted in every sphere of society. I thought it would be a great opportunity to use that musical genre, right, to dig into some of the old school and some of the new school, and find elements of classical liberalism and or libertarianism, and simply talk about those things. And again, what I've been using is, as far as classical liberalism and libertarianism, they come from different times and they had different catalysts. The former was removing the oppression of theocracies and monarchies, and the very notion of it being permissible for a small group to rule over the masses, while the latter, libertarianism, was addressing the overarching reaches of imperialism, bureaucracies, progressivism. All right. So it was a show, a class, a talk, if you will, designed to really look at the various expressions of rap and hip hop. Now, rap and hip hop has gone through a lot of different changes, a lot of different styles. But what has not changed about it was having, and it has men and women, typically younger men and women, who are seeing what is going on in their communities, and they are using similes and metaphors and wordplay and different types of beats to communicate what they are seeing in their community. And hey, what I did identify is that there are elements of freedom. There are elements that are seeking to address what we see as like the non-aggression principle, entrepreneurship, critique of the state and its actions, right? All in this musical genre called rap and hip hop. So these two volumes were produced looking at that musical genre. It's a unique genre. Unless you're living on a hole, you at least heard one rap or hip hop song. Okay. And these songs do have something to say. Now, I got it. People can get tripped up over the language and some of the elements. Obviously, there's some over sexualization that is not good. How women are talked about, which is not good. Even some elements of violence. Not to dismiss those things, but remember, just like any genre of music that is especially using words, they are communicating a life experience. Okay. But it's not for everybody. Just like country ain't for everybody. Pop isn't for everybody. Rap and hip hop isn't for everybody. All right. So, but nonetheless, we looked at specific writers. All right. Murray Rothbard, Ludwig von Mises. We looked at J.S. Mill, John Stuart Mill. We looked at Friedrich Bastiat. We looked at Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, different classical liberal libertarian types who had something to say on a lot of different topics. Actually, they were backing up what these artists were talking about. When I'm talking about NWA, talking about Boogie Down Productions, West Coast All Stars, Queen Latifah, talking about Ice Cube, all right, Lil Baby, all right. We found that these men, these writers from classical liberal thought, libertarian thought, right, they would have some agreement with things said in the musical genre of rap and hip hop. And so as we looked at these giants, all right, of writing and intellectual thought, all right, we identified they had common concerns found in the genre of rap and hip hop. All right, rap and hip hop, again, reflected real world experiences and authors, such as a Rothbard or a Mises or a Soul. And they found some common agreement on particular issues. Now, the opportunity of free expression is an opportunity to demonstrate the agency of the individual and how far he or she thinks, but also to shed light on threats and problems which confront individual freedom and the natural bent for human beings to discover both purpose and meaning. We also found that it was someone like a Friedrich Bastiat who would be in the streets with a Chuck D or a Flavor Flav, Public Enemy, that song we covered, Fight the Power. That Friedrich Bastiat would back up Public Enemy, jump on the stage with them, right, to fight the power of the state in terms of work. Bastiat has said this, and I quote, "No one would have any argument with government, provided that his person was respected, his labor was free, and the fruits of his labor were protected against all unjust attack," close quote. Now, Bastiat was agreeing with Public Enemy, and who could disagree with what Bastiat would say? I wouldn't have a quarrel with the government. I wouldn't have a quarrel with city government, county government, state government, federal government if they left me alone and they did no injustice to me, right? That the government will respect me and respect my labor and respect what I earned and respect the fact that I'm going to take the fruits of my labor and use it how I would see fit to benefit my home, to benefit my community, so on and so forth. It could be said of Thomas Sowell, all right, who would offer Ice Cube hope. And Thomas Sowell said this, and I quote, "Internal factors can prevent people from rising, nor should internal factors behind counterproductive behavior be considered unchangeable, especially when such behavior was not nearly as prevalent in earlier generations," close quote. Now, that was referring to when we looked at Ice Cube and his song Endangered Species, looking at what was happening with young Black males in terms of violence that was happening with young Black males. And it can be changed. And how do we see that? Well, we looked at Boogie Down Productions in the East Coast in 1989 and in the West Coast All Stars in 1990. And those two songs, Stop the Violence, right? And we're all in the same game. They provided the answer. This is how we can change. And we thought about the non-aggression principle. So from the importance of individualism to free speech, to the relationship of the state to the individual, to law enforcement, to the non-aggression principle, rap and hip hop offered a very high level of critique for what was occurring in some Black communities and the desire for freedom. So where do we go from here? All right, where do we go from here? So to my libertarian friends, to those who are not familiar with classical liberalism or libertarianism, and then just to everybody, let me say these three things. So to my libertarian friends, the ground is healthy. It's right to reach out to American Black men and women to communicate the concepts of freedom and liberty and grow new advocates. It's present in the music and the entrepreneurial spirit of these men and women. You go into these communities and you simply talk to these men and women in their communities, I promise you, all right, if you appeal to them on the basis of individual thought, free speech, entrepreneurship, connected to the ideas of libertarianism or classical liberalism, you go a long way. But we got to get engaged. Engaged. All right. If you're unfamiliar with classical liberal or libertarian thought, I strongly recommend those authors are referenced in volumes 1 and 2. A Rothbard or a Mises or a Bastiat, Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, Robert Nozick. All right. You can just simply Google these names. You can find free PDFs to read their information. Some information, obviously, you're going to have to go on Amazon and buy, but that information is out there. Heck, if you just go on YouTube, you can find short videos talking about these men, and I'm sure women as well. And then finally, I hope you would see there is a proper role of government in your lives. Rap and hip hop demonstrates the common concerns, all right? The common concerns which are announced in other groups with classical liberal and libertarian influences. It's like Public Enemy said, all right? Fight the power. And the way this can occur peacefully and persuasively is through increasing your intellectual capacity. Hey, this is Dr. Philip Fletcher with Rap, Hip Hop, and Freedom. Y'all remember to be loved, be kind, and be generous. Take care. God bless.